and powerful that awaits you inside Thundershrooms to help you unlock your maximum healing potential. I hope you've all been keeping well. It's a bit of the flu season going around, and I thought I would talk about something today that I've been hearing come up in a lot of discussions of close friends near to me. And I've heard a few cases as well from my medical colleagues where basically people are really starting to question, do I need to get another shot? It's 2023. We are, quite some ways on from the initial understandings of the pandemic, treatments, prevention via vaccinations, as well as acute treatments. And I thought it would be, since the topic is still so prevalent, and especially during seasonal flu season, we get a lot of people asking, is this a seasonal flu that I'm coming into contact with, or am I going back in time, back to the old days of the C and the V? So I thought today would be a good chance to just discuss a little bit about what I like to call the function of Thundershrooms, which is, it's basically our immune health personal trainer. So for me, I just recently started returning to the gym in a very conscious way. During the lockdown, I was a little bit sedentary, a little bit unmotivated, and I think that's quite a normal human psychological experience during a time of isolation. And so just recently, I got back in the gym, and I employed with a personal trainer to get me started, and it really is been a great way for me to really kickstart my metabolic health and push myself beyond a level of discomfort that I would probably stop. And that's really the important thing to understand about a trainer, is that they're going to push you beyond your normal comfort zone. And that's something that our own psychology, our own body is wired to avoid pain, wired to avoid discomfort for any prolonged period of time. Even if the route to success, in the case of working out and building muscle, the route to success is going through the pain, through the discomfort, in order to strengthen your muscles, break them down, and regenerate new muscular cells, new tissue cells. So it's a bit of a paradox, because physiologically as humans, we progress through stress. We handle the stress, and because we handle it, we regenerate, we recover from that stress, and that recovery propels us forward. So our psychological goals are almost hindered by the way our biology stops us when we first encounter pain. And that's where the personal trainer comes in. The personal trainer is there to help you push the weight up and lift the bar a little bit, but you can still push yourself beyond where you would have normally stopped if you didn't have one. And when we talk about Thundershrooms as your immune health personal trainer, that's exactly why it's so important, because the Thundershrooms is your personal trainer for the immune system. And what I mean by that is that a mushroom or a fungus of any type, there are billions and millions of types of fungus that we've recorded, and surely millions we haven't yet discovered or recorded. And the key thing to know is that although they look like a plant, and on a menu we put them in the vegetarian food section along with the other plants, a mushroom is not a plant. A mushroom is a fungus. And a fungus is a different entire kingdom of life from animals and from plants. And so, if that's from a different kingdom, which the fungus is to the animal and the plant, then the fungus is actually viewed by the animal as a threat. It's posing a risk to the survival of that animal species, or to the operation of the animal systems. So when a fungus comes into contact, when it's ingested, or in some cases when the spores are inhaled through the nose of an animal, the animal's immune system is woken up. It's called into action. And this is even happening at a very small level. When you eat mushrooms on your pizza, the mushroom is having an immunological trigger, which will cause something to happen in your immune system, in your immune cells. Now, I used the bad example of mushrooms on a pizza because probably the cheese and the gluten in the dough of the pizza, and probably the sugar they put in it, that's probably going to have a stronger immunological stress on your health systems than the presence of some sliced button mushrooms. But nonetheless, a fungus does create an immunological trigger, or a test for your body to pass. And when your body can pass such a test, it becomes stronger. Specifically, the thundershrooms is testing the part of your immune system that is linked with over 80 to 90% of autoimmune diseases that might also be linked with visible signs of aging. So visible signs of aging, we can view autoimmune diseases as a further progression of the body's natural degradation through time, through wear and tear. We also call it aging. So autoimmune diseases, they come after a certain amount of wear and tear, and a certain amount of disruption has happened to the internal systems of the body. So what the thundershrooms is doing, it's a personal trainer for the exact part of the immune system, the exact cells that are linked with so many cases of lifestyle disease, autoimmune disease, and early signs of aging. So by introducing a specific trainer who's a specialist, he's an expert in anti-aging and immune health workouts, and you're bringing him right to you. So this is why we view the thundershrooms, the sanghwang mushroom, the meshima mushroom, the Japanese and Korean name for the mushroom. Why this mushroom? We call it nature's greatest immunotherapy gift, because it comes in, wakes up your immune system with a bit of stress, and a stress that is totally your body is completely capable to deal with it. And the after effect of dealing with it is the immune system becomes stronger. So in the same way that lifting a 2-pound dumbbell for most people is a stress, but it leads to a regeneration and an improved outcome, that's the same thing that you're doing when we introduce the thundershrooms to the human body. So we've got the thundershrooms, which has different molecules inside it, naturally occurring inside nature as we find them. And don't forget, when we're talking about thundershrooms, which is what makes them so special, if we take the species of thundershrooms as nature's greatest immunotherapy gift, what makes this particular formula, as you have it in Doc of Detox, or this brand, the best of nature's best gift, is because we know exactly through our expertise, through research, how to harness the natural active compounds inside the thundershrooms mushrooms, which are directly linked with those particular immune activities. So not only do we know the mushroom as a whole is very powerful as a personal trainer for the immune system, but we know which compounds that we can extract from the natural occurring mushroom, which ones we can extract, so that we have an expectation of what should be the outcome when we take the thundershrooms as an immune system personal trainer. So it's a great way to introduce really new levels of exposure for your immune system to something that they might not have faced before, but something that will help them to face new challenges. And this brings me to the really kind of, okay, this topic about the V. What is the shot? And the specific case I'm thinking of, someone who asked me, said, do you think I need to get my 7th shot? And I bit my tongue. I said, did you say 2nd or 7th? And she said 7. And I said, okay, well, I explained to her a little bit about what I'm going to share now, which is that since we've had the Vs and the shots, there's been a lot of research done also around the idea of natural vaccine and natural immunity and what exactly that means. And there's been identification of certain percentage of the population that's never had COVID, or even had come into contact with COVID, and it didn't take hold inside the individual. So these individuals have been studied, and it's still really early to know exactly what was the mechanism. But it looks to be, the initial conclusions are that some people have had some genetic mutation which enabled the immune system cells to very quickly and very, I would say, accurately identify the new coronavirus spike proteins and all the dangerous things that exist inside the coronavirus cell. This mutation inside some individuals are able to allow them to see these types of invaders or foreign threats inside the COVID and identify them and arrest them very quickly. Now, we don't know exactly how this positive mutation occurs or whether it's something that you're born with, but we do know that things we encounter can affect gene expression. It can turn genes on, can turn genes off. These are good genes and bad genes. This is the study of something we call epigenetics, which is how our world around us and the things we encounter may or may not affect genes in our body that may be dormant, may be sleeping, and maybe we do something to turn them on. I've touched on this in a previous episode where we talked about childhood illness and autism and ADHD, where the most recent 10, 20 years, the understanding has shifted completely from something you're born with to something that is triggered through epigenetic encounters. So something that happens, something is encountered that turns these genes on. So you're not born with them on. And we say that genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. So we bring that back to the positive genes for how could these people have developed an ability to be so naturally gifted at identifying, protecting, and killing the foreign threats of COVID. And without any better understanding, all we know is that we can take steps to train the body, to train the immune system, to teach the cells how to identify and manage the threat presented by COVID. And that's where we can, again, come back to Thundershrooms as your personal trainer. If you don't happen to be born with that genetic mutation, which happens to make you somewhat naturally immune, you can train it. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with shots 1 through, in her case, 7. For most people, it wasn't that many. And that's the mechanism is still to train, to teach the body how to do something against a corona novel virus, novel being new. And that's the big danger, is that the body doesn't know how to recognize and defeat this enemy because it's a new type of cell. It's a new type of shape. So that's the danger. So what would allow our body to be able to take on any new unknown challenge? It's almost like, how do you get someone to be a competitive athlete at a sport they've never played before? The way you do it is by getting them in absolute prime physical condition, aerobic capacity, anaerobic capacity, agility, flexibility, muscle mass, bone density, all these key things we know, even if we don't know what the sport is going to be. And we're going to ask them, let's say he might be competing in pole vault or swimming or horseback riding or BMX. Whatever is the event going to be, if he meets all these criteria for health and functional health, then we know he's going to have a good chance to at least compete with the people who've been doing it their whole life. And in the same way because that's a new sport for them, even if it's a new sport and they have never learned it before, they're in condition to take it on and have a good success and good chance of success. And the same way with our immune system, coronavirus or novel viruses or, new strains of bird flu or what was the one recently? Yeah, there was a new bird flu going around and all these new things. The narrative comes out, right? Oh my God, new threat, new thing that's going to kill the world, right? Okay, calm down. What does it really mean for our cells? It really means, are our cells capable of identifying the new threat and putting it down before it becomes a bigger problem? Before we buy into the narrative, oh my God, it's going to kill the whole world, we must ask ourselves, are my cells well trained? And if they are, then there's really nothing to worry about future unknown viruses, future unknown threats, because our body evolution has evolved for millions of years to face unknown new threats all the time. New strains of virus and bacteria have been coming into contact with humans for millions of years, and our body has evolved to faster to handle these threats, internal and external. So we have to keep it in good shape. And when it's in good shape, the body can handle unknown physical threats in the same way that a well-trained overall sportsman can handle any type of new sport with a reasonable degree of competence and performance. So that's what we're doing with the Thundershrooms. And that's why I wanted to share that people are thinking about the C and the V, and that let's take a step back and ask, what were we given in our cells? What do we already have that we can improve? And we have an amazing immune system. It becomes degraded through our modern life, through the things we eat, the poisons and stresses we encounter from daily life. And so that's one thing we can do, many things to repair, such as the perfect day life, the We can take other supplements like the IGF or restore minerals and vitamins through some of the supplements. But direct personal training of your immune system's health and its ability to face new threats, unknown threats, is directly available to you inside Thundershrooms. And these are all natural compounds, natural active ingredients inside the Thundershrooms that are doing the personal training. So so basically your personal trainer is not a steroided guy. Your personal trainer is also super fit, super lean, no steroids, no injections, no implants. They're completely natural. And they got that way from training hard, training in nature, training in the wilderness, just like your mushrooms are grown in the wilderness, in the heat of the sun. They've been grown for 30 years before we extract and put them in and put the extract in the capsules for you. So just like a personal trainer, which personal trainer are you going to choose? You're going to choose the personal trainer who is book smart and really, not very, either he might be overweight. You got one personal trainer who's a bit overweight, but finished at the top of his class. Got another trainer who's super skinny, also finished very high in the class. And the third personal trainer who's never been to sports science school, but has been living in the wilderness for 30 years, lifting logs, built like, built like a Yeti or a caveman, and he's ready to push you through your workouts, wilderness mode. I know which one I would choose or which one I would trust with my own personal training. It's definitely the one who's learned from experience and not from the books. And with mushrooms, we trust the ones that are grown in the wilderness, the ones that have survived nature, not the ones that are grown in a lab, which don't have any test with any stress testing of the real viability of that mushroom. Can it survive in nature? We don't know because it was grown in a lab. So that's why Thundershrooms, we only use wild grown, natural fruiting bodies of the mushrooms that are at least 30 years old. And that's the key cutoff, below which we don't accept this as powerful enough to perform the role of a personal trainer for you. So that's where the criteria comes from. And that's why when you have the Thundershrooms, whether it's the critical care or the vital life, you can rest assured knowing that your personal trainer was trained in the wilderness, trained to survive, and is teaching your immune cells those same skill sets that have allowed it to survive. And, I invite you all to get a personal trainer in the gym, and also to invite this personal trainer, nature's immune personal trainer, into your regimen in the vital life and the critical care. And I would just finish today's meeting with a couple comments I had. Let me just pull these up I had a little bit of feedback and was emailed, and I wanted to address two comments on the Thundershrooms. So I really appreciate, I've been getting quite a few emails from people who've saying it's been helping them, and I love to hear that. And I think when I have a nice assortment, I will present them to you as viewers to know how others are being benefited with as well. But I wanted to address on two particular comments that were made. Someone recently said that they bought the critical care for 2 months, and the husband's digestive health was still quite poor, and they were disappointed. And I wanted to first start off by saying I totally understand that type of feeling, because when we have discomfort and pain, we obviously want things to go well right away, especially when we invest in them. And I would just like to remind you, and also everyone, that digestive health, it takes a while to repair. It takes a while to bring back to balance. And there may be, whilst the Thundershrooms, the critical care, is lowering the inflammation, there is much more required for prime gut health, for balanced gut health, beyond just 2 months of the Thundershrooms. It would really require further digging, further effort to find out what's going in. The question is, I hope you can answer, is what's the input that's causing the imbalance? Because we introduced the Thundershrooms, we introduce a lot of the Doc of Detox health GI, so for either fulvic or the black gold, all these things that help the gastrointestinal health and the microbiome. That's one step of rebalancing the imbalance. But the first step, that's the second step. The first step is, what's the toxic input that's causing that imbalance? So take a step back. Before even we talk about Thundershrooms or adding supplements, we have to look at removing the inputs. And the inputs might not be dietary. The inputs might be stress, might be lack of sleep, might be interrupted to the hormone cycle from stress and lack of sleep. So GI health is need, it takes quite a bit of investigation. And I would really encourage you to uh, investigate further. And also, when you say the results haven't been as expected, well, the good thing to know is that we know from research that there is a measurable benefit to all states of unbalance and poor health. So even though the results might not be as you hoped or as you expected, 2 months of that is definitely better and significantly an improvement at the cellular level than without 2 months of it. And that's based on what we know from the research. So I invite you to stay positive and to continue your efforts, because especially when we have a lifelong disease or a lifelong state of ill health, which gets us to a point where we take action, the solution is also going to take quite a while. So I encourage you to stay positive and make your efforts in other areas, especially about trying to find what is the toxic input that might be causing so much dysbiosis in the gut. And the other comment I had was someone said they had they went for HPV screening, and after 2 months of the critical care, they went back and screening showed nothing. And that is not, that's amazing, and congratulations. I'm super happy to hear that. I was very delighted to see that. And it's not unique. We have had many cases, in fact, in Thailand and in, where is it? In Laos. So in the neighboring country of Laos, and also Vietnam. Our company has a partner branch in Vietnam. Vietnam and Laos have a very high rate of hepatitis C, which is closely linked with with a lot of these liver issues. So we have seen a track record of the thundershrooms, of the critical care, to bring down the viral count of the HPV virus and hepatitis C, and a number of viruses that affect the liver. So I'm very glad to hear that feedback, and it absolutely lines up with what we've seen in a number of cases in Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos, where we've seen a number of people taking the thundershrooms for HPV, different versions of hepatitis and such. So I wanted to just share those two things with you all, in addition to encouraging you to don't forget, it's never too late to call up your personal trainer, schedule a session, which is basically ordering your thundershrooms, and start taking them right away. And then you'll immediately start to get some benefits of strengthening and training your immune system to be fit and ready for existing, unknown, and known threats. So I wish you all the best health, and look forward to our next session, where we're going to discuss something else new and exciting about thundershrooms. And until then, have a great week or a great time, and keep yourself in good health, and look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now.